Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for our new friends online for joining us very first time. You heard Pastor Moses said he wanted to bring in a closer, the Cowboys. It's okay. It's all right. I know you can't take me seriously, and I can't take some of you guys seriously. I mean, hey, our new friends and guests, this is what an everyday Sunday looks like. You get Superman sitting in the front row. I mean, I can't even put on a straight face. I got M&Ms back there. I got like the Power Rangers singing songs. I kid you not. Most of you guys, you can go and, when they ask you at work on Monday, hey, so what'd you do this weekend? You can literally say, I went to church with Superman. All right, I went to church with just all sorts of things out there, pirates and all that. So, hey, glad to be here. My family, my wife and I just got back from New York City. No one cares. I got it. We're in L.A. I brought some photos back just to share with you. So this is me trying. Do you guys even know what I was trying to do? My wife was asking me, not singing either. No. This is Friends. There's our picture. I don't know if you guys remember the opening scene of Friends. Oh, they don't have it. So go back. So that's me. They were, someone has to do the reboot 2.0, and that would be me. This is the fountain that is where they was inspired for the picture in that opening scene. So those who are still young and don't even know who Friends are, that's me. And yes, I was wearing this my cowboy gear. So quick story. Every time I go to New York City, I like to represent my city, Dallas Cowboys, or Dallas and the Dallas Cowboys. And it was funny. I remember one time we were walking by one of those stalls. They're selling those hats, those New York Giants, the New York Yankees. They're selling the New York gear, right? And then I was just walking by. My wife and I was there, and then the street vendor was like, "Psst." I was like, looking at me, and I thought he was going to jump me or yell at me or something for wearing my cowboy gear. And he goes, "Me too, me too." And I said, "What? You a cowboy?" He goes, "Yeah, cowboy fan." And I said, "What do you do selling all this New York gear?" He goes, "I got to make a living." So there's plenty of room on the bus, all you guys. All right, so South Hills, we spent this whole month, like Pastor Moses said, talking about what it means to build a strong family. Not just the one you were born into, but the family of faith that you belong to. A family of faith that you belong to in Jesus Christ. Over the last few weeks, we've been exploring 4 kinds of relationships that every believer needs. Every believer in Christ needs these 4 relationships. And sometimes you're like, well, is it a brother? Is it sister? Is it a mom and dad? Yes, we get that. But there are 4 relationships we walked through in the last few weeks. The first week, we talked about a ride and die friend who sticks with you no matter what. All right, ride and die friend who sticks with you no matter what. The second week, we talked about having a coach who helps you grow and gives wise counsel. And then in the third week, last week, Pastor Moses talked about a sparring partner, someone who challenges you and someone who sharpens you. All right, so those are the first 3 weeks. And then this week, we're going to close out Family Month with a protege, someone you pour yourself into. And so if you're taking notes with me inside on the chairs, there's also paper. If you're taking it with your phones, we can take pictures later. But the title for this message is You Need a Protege. You need a protege. Because at some point in your journey, you stop just receiving and you start reproducing. Some point in your journey, you stop asking, who's mentoring me? And then you start asking, who am I mentoring? And hopefully, most of us have had someone who believed in us at some point in time. A coach, a teacher, a parent, maybe an older brother, an older sister. A mentor who saw something that we could not at that time see in ourselves. And friends, if you haven't had one of those moments or one of those people in your life, it's okay. My prayer today is that this message will help you today, with God's help, provide you that kind of relationship. If you are a youth student, a college student, my hope today is to convince the people in here today, bigger brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles, to think about the next generation because you are so important, so valuable, so significant, and we cannot ignore that. So spiritual growth, it doesn't stop there though, right? It doesn't stop with just thinking about that. The real mark of maturity is when you become a mentor who finds your own protege, right? We always want to give me, but today's message is really to challenge you to think about, wait, I need to think about someone I can invest in. I think about someone I can encourage and build up the way someone once did for me. And because in God's family, we don't just grow older in the church, in this church, I know for sure, we want people to grow others. We don't want to just grow older. That's not fun. We want to grow others. And that would be our key point for today. I want to tell you, years ago, I was thinking about a story. It was in my mid-20s. I just moved to California, a young whippersnapper, still a Cowboy fan, an active Cowboy fan. My wife and I were maybe fiance dating at that time, and I remember I was going to grad school, mid-20s, going to grad school, and I remember the first class. This was for Bible school, seminary, if you really care, but it was the class of missions, right? How to go start churches, how to plant churches, and you're like, well, that's a fun class. Well, it's kind of like a new business class, right? How to start a new business. And his name was Don Overstreet. Don Overstreet was my professor. And I remember I was, they're going around class, what's your name, and what do you do, and what's your aspiration? At that time, I didn't know. I just said a bunch of stuff. My name is Kevin Nguyen, and I wanted to, work at a very big church and, get paid really well. That's what I told him. Like, everybody in the classroom thought I was crazy, just as you are looking at me with the Dallas Cowboy gear and thinking I'm crazy. All right, so, and then after class, he comes up and says to me, hey, yo, Kevin, let's go catch a bite. I'd love to talk to you about your journey. I want to hear more about your story. At this point, this is a much older man in life. I mean, we're talking about he's probably in his 60s maybe. And at this point, I was like, all right, sure, old man, let's go. I got nothing else to do. That was what's my head, right? This is in your mid-20s. You think all sorts of dumb things. So it took one meal, one invite to Claim Jumper. Do you guys remember Claim Jumper? Is that still around anymore? Claim Jumper? All right. It's a dying breed. But hey, Claim Jumper is where it happens. All right. It always happens there. Over the 7-layer deathly chocolate cake. But that story stuck with me because I remember in that season, it didn't really matter what I said. I was so energized. I was just saying a bunch of stuff. I had dreams and aspirations. And he just kept nodding his head, listening, even though, because he knew how this is going to play out. And he basically, by the end of the meal, I did all the talking. He goes, hey, I want to invite you to an internship. I'd like you to consider this church planting internship. And that changed my trajectory. Of course, I said yes. I said, I guess this is for credit. Being Asian, I'm like, yeah, if I do this, I'll get an A. He sends me off to this church planting internship. You guys are laughing because it's true. He sends me off to this internship, and I remember he goes, I want you to help out this church up in Chino Hills, California. And again, in my mind, I was thinking bigger aspirations. And I remember showing up at a church much smaller than this. So if you think this scares me, it was a church of 10 people. My fiance at the time showed up, and there was like 10 people in the room. The music just started, and I was talking to this first group of row here, and then they were just introducing themselves. And then when the song started, like 6 of them got on stage. And the 4 of them was me, my wife, and their 2 kids. And I looked at my wife, and I was like, I guess we're the choir today. But again, that internship became a very pivotal point in my life because it made me think about ministry differently than what I had thought before. It's because someone believed in me. Someone that I never thought of, unlikely pair, believed in me. And so in the Bible, it has the same type of, I'd like for us to talk about some similar characters, unlikely people getting together. And that's what happens. Mentors choose people, they invest in people, and it possibly could change a life. We see this dynamic between 2 unlikely people in the Bibles, and I'll point to this passage. If you have your Bibles or if your phones, open up to Acts chapter 9. It's a pair named Barnabas and Saul. Barnabas and Saul is where I want to take you today. And before Barnabas ever saw potential in Saul, everyone else knew him as Saul the persecutor. Right? At this point, Saul was the persecutor. He was a very dangerous person. And I want to clarify, many of you would know him as Paul, the Apostle Paul, the Saint Paul, the Paul that wrote most of the New Testament. But this is the story of Saul. And this is the same man that wrote the New Testament, but also was the same man who also killed the first Christian martyr. But Barnabas saw something more in Saul. He saw someone that wanted to have a life rewritten. And many of us in this room want a life rewritten. So I want to give you a flashback. Young Saul was present, like I said, at the execution of the first Christian martyr named Stephen at the time. And the Bible says that Paul approved of his killing. And from that moment on, he made it his mission to hunt down every follower of Jesus Christ, entering their homes, dragging them to prison, disrupting their families, and messing up and tearing up families. So this Saul was relentless. He was the modern day, if you want to call it, Darth Vader, who wanted to hunt down every Jedi and make it his mission in life to kill every Jedi. Does that make sense? That is exactly the Saul I'm talking about. Not the Paul that you think wrote the New Testament, but that is the Saul that we are going to be talking about today. And so when the word spread that this guy now wanting to join the disciples, so he had to turn, a moment of change. He saw Jesus on the road to Damascus, and so he starts going around saying, wait, I've changed. My life has changed. I'm brand new. I'm so cool. And it definitely sounded like a trap. Everybody else in the room was like, wait, hold on. Weren't you like just trying to drag my family the other day? Weren't you trying to kill this guy? This is bonkers. You tried to destroy all of our lives. The Bible even says this, that the people were all afraid of him, not believing that he was a disciple. But right then and there, and as we go to this passage, and I'll read it on screen, in the middle of fear and suspicion, there was this man named Barnabas, who steps in. When everyone else was pulling back, he steps forward. When everybody saw a threat, he saw potential. And when everybody whispered, don't trust him, he whispers, give him a chance. And that's where our story picks up right now and up on the screens. If you want to read with me, I'll read it for you. When Saul arrived in Jerusalem, he tried to associate with the disciples, but they were all afraid of him since they did not believe he was a disciple. Barnabas, however, took him and brought him in to the apostles and explained to them how Saul had seen the Lord on the road, that he had talked to him, and how in Damascus he had spoken boldly in the name of Jesus. Saul was coming and going with them in Jerusalem, speaking boldly in the name of the Lord. He conversed and debated with the Greek-speaking Jews, but they attempted to kill him. Next one. Is there another one? When the brothers found out, they took him down to Caesarea and sent him off to Tarsus. If you want to go back to the last screen, that's where we're going to camp off today. We're going to only talk about 6 verses in church today, just 6. But these 6 verses are going to be packed with some actions that helps make the trait of a mentor. Each one of these traits reveal us something about a mentor. And so if you were to follow and build an outline, there is an outline here that I want us to build around. The first thing is this: mentors take notice. All right? Mentors take notice. Mentors open doors. Mentors speak up. And mentors show up again and again. And those are the 4 traits that we'll go through. Each one of these traits reveal what mentors do, what mentors look like, and what mentors, how should they behave. And so if we're trying to be a good mentor, I want to walk us through that. And so I want to unpack the first trait seen in verse 9:27, and that is Barnabas took him. Barnabas took notice of him. So mentorship starts with one simple act, and that simple act is this. Mentors notice and invite. All right? Mentors do this one simple act first. They notice someone, and they invite them into something. Everyone else here is holding Saul at arm's length away, but Barnabas takes him in. Barnabas thinks that he sees something in him. The phrase here, took in, it has this idea of personally receiving someone, welcoming them into your circle. Making space is probably the better phrase. Making space for someone, taking them by their hand. All right? So I'm trying to just unpack that word took. It is making space for someone. Barnabas doesn't start with a training plan or some title. Hey, I'm your professor. I'm your mentor. No. He starts with an invitation. He notices Saul, the outsider, the one who no one wants to touch. And he says, come with me. Come with me. So simple, but yet so powerful. And that one act of inclusion, it changes the trajectory of Saul's entire life and ministry. Because before at this point, Saul was out to kill people, and now someone says, I believe in you, and I took notice of you. Before Saul ever preached a message, before he even planted a church, before anyone called him Paul, someone made space for him. And that's the first mark of a true mentor. They notice. They're not scanning the room for perfection. They're looking for potential. They notice who's on the margins, who's sitting alone after service, who's showing quiet hunger but hasn't found a place to belong. They notice those things. They see those things. And for Barnabas, he noticed Saul, I don't know, might have noticed Saul when he was sharing his story and how bold he was and how courageous he was. But here's the thing. Barnabas saw a spark in Saul. He saw a spark. And for today, I don't know, what does that mean to us today? Sometimes mentoring starts with just praying first. If you want to be a mentor, if you are looking to invest in people, if you notice the spark in someone, maybe the first step is, Lord, help me see that spark in someone else. Let me see that spark in someone else the way someone saw in me when I was growing up. When it was me when I was starting a new business. When it was me when I was trying to get somewhere in life. When it was me when I was trying to make a hard decision. Lord, I pray that I can find someone that has that spark. Is that making sense? Just nod with me. Just nod your head if you're, yeah, there you go. That spark might show up in a new coworker finding their footing. That spark might be someone who is a young believer still trying to figure things out. That spark might be a teammate who's eager but overlooked. And then you decide, I'm going to make room for them. I'm going to make space for them. Mentorship starts with the simple act of noticing and inviting. Because the protégé aren't polished. They are just people in progress. We all were there. We are there sometimes. And before Paul ever became Paul, he needed a Barnabas who noticed him. And once Barnabas took him in, he didn't just stop there, though. He didn't. It goes on to our second point. He brought him to the apostles. In the Bible, it says he took notice of him, and then he brought him to the disciples. He didn't just include Saul privately, but he opened doors publicly. So this leads us to our next trait of a mentor. The second trait is mentorship shares your access, not your advice. Mentorship shares your access, not just your advice. That phrase means to Barnabas, when he says, I brought him to the disciples, it literally means he walked with him. He didn't just say, hey, go see those people. He goes, no, I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to guide your steps, and I'm going to go side by side with you. He physically escorted Saul into the room where it happened. No one got that Hamilton joke. Got it? Man, you guys. All right. So he physically escorted Saul into the room that would have been impossible for Saul to enter. And think about it. Saul was a man that everyone feared. His reputation preceded him. It wasn't a good reputation. In fact, it was a reputation that probably would say, close the door, keep him out. No amount of convincing words would have gotten Saul into the room with the disciples. But Barnabas had credibility. Credibility, and he walked Saul, and doors open. Are you guys following me? You see, mentorship isn't just about, hey, nice words, encouragement. It's about, let me open some doors for you. There wasn't just an introduction, it was an endorsement. Barnabas was endorsing Saul. Barnabas used his own relational equity to open the doors for Saul. Mentorship is more than just giving someone information. It's giving them access, saying, you can borrow my platform until you build up your platform. Barnabas leveraged his reputation to help Saul gain trust. Man, that's a good mentor. That's what I want in my life. True mentors understand if your leadership just ends with you, then all you're doing is just managing. You're just managing transactional tasks. Barnabas didn't need the credit. He wanted Saul to have the opportunity, and that's what a kingdom-minded leader needs to do. We are willing to shrink in the spotlight so someone else can grow. Man, that's powerful. That's mentorship. That's what I want for my kid. That's what I want for our next generation. That's what I want for our young professionals in this room. That's what I want for everybody. Later in life, I started going to grad school. So I want to introduce you. The first mentor I had was Don Overstreet, right? Don Overstreet was the one that I was talking about that saw me a claim jumper. This one was named Daryl Passwater. Can you say that with me? Daryl Passwater? Daryl Passwater. It was at this time, Hannah and I were married, and we were definitely older in life. We had my young son at that time, and he was teaching a course in business leadership. And I remember as we were talking, he's a natural connector. He invited me. He asked me to join him in different projects, and it was a great relationship. But then as you get older and you get a little busier and you start doing work, you just fade. You don't talk to him as much anymore. And I remember when I started working for another organization, I think I literally just, for about 5 years, silence. And about 3 years ago, I was going through a very rough time. Very, very rough time. After the pandemic, I don't know if you guys know this, but the pandemic messes everybody up. It messed up my life, messed up everybody's life. And at that time, I was working for that church, a church, and I was going through a rough time, and my marriage was not the greatest. Family was not good, and I think I've shared it with some of you. But there was one call that I made, the first phone call I made when I had to make a transition out of work and just basically restart my life. I don't know if you guys have been this, but this is my kind of like your restart of life, of new work, new business, profession. So it's not a young 20-year-old anymore. Now in your 40s. And at this time, you're like, do I need a mentor? Well, the first phone call I made was to Daryl Passwater. Daryl Passwater. I called him up, and I remember calling. I was like, Daryl, I don't know. I've messed up. I'm not in a good place right now. I know that you think I'm great, but... And he says, Kevin, just the first thing he said is, Kevin, I don't need to know the whole story. No matter what, I love you. And no matter what, I believe in you. All right, catch me up. And those words meant so much to me. At a 40-year-old man with kids, it meant so much to hear your mentor believe in you. And I said, and then I started sharing my story, and I said, Daryl, I don't know what to do. You know, I got a family to raise. I gotta put food on the table, and it's a pandemic. You know, it's like it was all jacked up and all weird at that point. And he goes, you know, Kevin, don't worry, I got it. I got someone that you should be thinking about. In fact, let me just talk about it. Let me call you back. Let me figure this out. In about 2 hours, he calls me back, and he goes, guess what? I got a job opportunity for you. I got this consulting gig. You know Orange County? Orange County? Yeah, I said, what about it? He goes, yeah, they're launching these 5 super pods, and they need someone to coordinate the vaccination projects at all the super pods. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's where you got vaccinated, right? At the Orange County Fair, in Aliso Viejo, Anaheim. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, you got to coordinate 1,000 people to give shots. I'm like, what? 1,000 nurses? I said, don't worry, Kevin. I vouched for you. And within a week, I got a job. And that job, actually, 3 years later, got me to the job where I am now. That first phone call was a very scary phone call, but that phone call meant the world to me because I had someone who was in my corner who believed in me, who vouched for me, who spoke up for me, who said he loves me. I want you to have that. And I'm not talking about some 15-year-old or a 20-year-old. I'm talking about a grown man who had 2 kids. Now, I want to give you a side note here. I want to pause here for a moment. I bet you're saying, oh, wait, Kevin, hold on. I want that too. I want one of those mentors in my life. How do I get one of those? How much do they cost? Well, maybe you are like me. You're in a new season or a transitional season. Maybe you're looking for a new job. Maybe you're in a new faith journey. Maybe you're in a new life stage and family life. You got kids coming in. Whatever it is, you're hungry for guidance. You are hungry for guidance. And that's a good desire. Now, here's the truth. Mentorship doesn't usually just find you. It's not accidental. Sometimes you have to step forward and ask. You have to step forward and ask. And so Barnabas may have noticed Saul. Saul also had to be willing to walk with him. You see, the protege must be willing to walk alongside the mentor if the mentor invites. Mentorship is a two-way pursuit. It takes humility to seek it, and it also takes courage to receive it. And so up on the screen here, I wanted to give you some hopeful hints of what I would do if you were looking for a mentor and you wanted to find a mentor. Here's 4 ways or 4 clues, pro tips that I would consider. So if you want to take a picture here, I don't want to camp too long on this, but the first thing I would do is pray. You got to ask God to show you someone who has character and faith, but it's not someone, but it's someone who's consistent. Oftentimes, we're looking for like the superstar who only wants to give 1 hour of their time every 5 years. No. You're looking for someone who consistently wants to meet with you, who consistently says, I believe in you. That's who you're looking for. Pray for that. That's the first thing I would do, pray. There's always someone in the network that you can pray for. Number 2, I would initiate with gratitude. I'd start off something simple like, hey, I really respect how you live out your faith at work. Could we grab coffee sometime? I'd love to learn from you. It could be anything like that. I just want to learn from you. I want to glean some wisdom from you. Do you have time? Now, this is where the hard part comes in. Number 3, this is where I advise all the time, all the people. Don't just show up at the coffee and say, oh, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. And then when the mentor asks you, so what's up? And you're like sitting there like, I don't know. You tell me. No, it doesn't work that way. I want you to prepare yourself. Have questions ready. Share what you're hoping to grow in. I'm looking for a new career change. I'm looking for deciding on which college to pick. What were the ways that you decided on picking college? I'm looking for ways I'm trying to figure out if I should date her or not date him. Have those questions ready. And number 4, be faithful with their time. If you say an hour, make it an hour. Don't be that person. Don't be that person that makes it a 4-hour coffee talk. You know. Hopefully it's not you that's doing that. Show up. Follow through. If they give you advice, apply it, and then circle back. No mentor wants to wonder. I wonder if I gave that advice, did it work? Circle back and say, hey, I want to say thank you. You know that thing, your decision you made for me, that you helped me make, it actually went through. That's how trust deepens. You guys follow? This is good? You can't control who says yes, but you can control how ready you are when the opportunity comes. I do this quite often, even in this stage of life. I'm always looking for a mentor, a person that I can glean wisdom from. Now back to Barnabas. He brought Saul forward publicly. He used his influence to give Saul credibility. And once they stood in that room together, Barnabas spoke up for him. Now let's look at the next trait of the mentor, of a good mentor. In the Bible, in verse 9:27, it says, he explained to them. So he took him, he took notice of Saul. Barnabas brought him to the room. And then he says, Barnabas explained to them how Saul had seen the Lord. You see, this is point number 3. Mentorship gives your mic to the person still finding their voice. Mentorship gives your mic to the person still finding their voice. The word explain, it connotes a meaning that tells the whole story. You see, it's someone speaking on behalf of the mentee, the protege. It's advocating for them so that they don't have to do everything. But you are lending your microphone, amplifying your message. Barnabas didn't just mention Saul's conversion. Oh yeah, there's a Saul guy. He spoke up. He amplified Saul's encounter. No, really, it is true. It happened. It made sure that everyone in the room understood. Are you sure, Barnabas? I am sure. I believe in Saul. He was highlighting what Christ had done in him. Barnabas says, that man met the risen Lord and he's not the same. I vouch for it. His voice amplified Christ's work in Saul. When you mentor someone, you become a microphone that carries the sound of God's transformation in another's life. You are a microphone to that young protege. And you are amplifying what God is doing in their life. I don't know what gets you going, but that is powerful. That is something worthy to chase. And when we mentor others, we model the heart of Jesus himself, the one who gives us the voice when we feel voiceless. Now let's bring this home. Some of you are again thinking, I'd love to invest in someone younger, but I'm not ready. Kevin. I've made too many mistakes in life. I want you to know that is an absolute lie. A lie that keeps the next generation waiting. Do not believe in that lie that you are not good enough and that you've made too many mistakes. Barnabas wasn't mentoring a perfect man. He was mentoring a redeemed one. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to show up and share your story. Show up and share your story. There was a study not too long ago out of the Fuller Youth Institute. It tracked like hundreds of high school students across America. And this study, they did it for several years. So they took seniors in high school, and they wanted to know how they kept their faith all the way through college. Does this make sense? So the study here was about following all these high school students that had a church background, a faith background, and then they tracked them till the end of college. And then, at the end of college, say, hey, how'd you keep your faith? What was important? Now, here's the results. It wasn't because of louder worship events. It wasn't because of bigger special events. It wasn't because Kevin preached a funny message. Not even close. One of the strongest predictors of lasting faith is having at least one caring adult who knows your name, hears your story, and helps you see God in the middle of your own. It's not their theology degree that changes a teen's life. It's their empathy, their presence, and authenticity. In other words, they don't have to be perfect. They just need to be present. That's the science. The next generation only needs one caring adult to empathize and hear their story. And that would make the change in their life. Isn't that crazy? That's so profound. As a dad, I pray the same for my 15-year-old son. We moved into a neighborhood 2 years ago, brand new neighborhood. And it was new school, new environment. And I was talking to Hannah. I said, I just want one caring adult, just one youth adult leader to befriend my son. I didn't ask for more than big events and big groups and soccer teams and baseball games. No. I just wanted one big brother and big sister. Is that you out there? That's it, just one. So here's my challenge to you. Will you be the friend for the next generation? Will you be a friend to the next generation? In this room alone, I could tell you the numbers already. There's about 18 to 20 high school and middle school students in this room. And you're like, this room's not that big. I know. There's 18 to 20 youth students in this room. It just tells me that mommy and daddy love to get busy. No, I mean, wait, did I say that out loud? Sorry. That's why I'm not the senior pastor. Up on the screen, I want to give you some opportunities to consider. Will you be a friend to the next generation? The first one is kids team. Yes. Did you know when you join the kids team, it actually helps you keep you younger? It really does. And why do you think elderly, what's it called, those senior centers, they always want kids to visit? Because it helps them feel younger. It reminds you of your innocence. The kids team is always looking for help. It doesn't mean you have to play with them. It just means be around young people. Be a mentor to them. We are starting a youth ministry here, and I'm so grateful for Brandy. She's leading that charge. She's the one that runs our kids ministry and our youth ministry, but I'm so proud of her. They've started a lot of different youth experiences here, and I do want you to know they're always looking for people to share the story. It doesn't say, we didn't ask you to teach a Bible study. We're asking you to share your story. Yes, share them all the mistakes you made. Go ahead, share them all the crazy stuff you think you did. They just do it worse, okay? And I was like, whoa, you do that? Oh, okay, I didn't do that when I was little. But they need an advocate for the future. In fact, next month, during the Thanksgiving weekend, there is a youth conference down in San Diego. They definitely need chaperones, but there is a youth conference there, and I want you to know if you're interested in doing that, we'd love for people to be a part of that. If it's just a one-off moment, then do it. You do have time. We all have time. We just need to be a friend to them. So if you are interested, I do want you to do this. If you have a Connect card or you want to fill out a new Connect card, just put in mentoring. We will get you more information about that. It's on a Connect card. I just want you to fill that out because I don't want you to walk away from this message like, what did the pastor talk about today? He literally said, fill out a card because he wanted us to mentor. I want to be very clear and very explicit what I'm asking you to do. You have an opportunity to mentor the next generation. You have an opportunity to change lives. Because when you mentor, you're not just shaping a young life, you're amplifying the voice of Christ in the next generation. And that's exactly what Barnabas did. Oh, but wait, the story continues. There's one last point here I want to make, because this truly happens sometimes. The Saul story suddenly stops. So at the end of chapter 9, it just stops. Saul disappears. You're like, wait, what do you mean? He's Paul. He's got to write the rest of the story. Well, he didn't, because for 10 years, there's silence. After pouring into Saul, there's this long season of silence. Saul steps back into the background for about 10 years. Parents, if you're complaining about a gap 1 year, just think about this. Saul had a gap 10 year. This was a 10-year gap. Now, I don't know the reason why, but I can tell you, here's some things. So I want you up on the screen. I want to read this verse. This is Acts chapter 11. So 10 years later, this is what's happening. So if you remember, they took him down to Caesarea and sent him off to Tarsus. So I want you to know, after this, 10 years goes by, nothing from Saul, and then Barnabas went to Tarsus to search for Saul. And when he found him, he brought him to Antioch. The church in Antioch is a city. For a whole year, they met with the church and taught large numbers. The disciples were first called Christians at Antioch. All right, so Saul is in oblivion in 10 years. Let me catch you up what happened during those 10 years while you were gone. It's kind of like the blip in Marvel. So here's what happened. The church was still expanding. The church in Antioch, it was growing. The gospel was exploding. The business was growing. Everything was exploding. It got so busy that the church leader said, hey, Barnabas, we need you to go to Antioch, check out on that site because something's happening over there. The Spirit is moving, and go to work. And so this whole time for that 10 years, things were exploding. Things were growing. And then Barnabas says, I can't do this alone. I need to call someone. I need to find someone. Saul. I got to get Saul. I got to go find Saul. Where did we last put him? We locked up him in Tarsus. Can someone go to Tarsus? In fact, Barnabas made the trip to Tarsus so that he could say, Saul, I need your help. We are doing something great, and I need you to be part of this journey with me. The fourth mentor mark of a mentor, the mark of a mentor, the trait of a mentor is mentorship keeps showing up even when the spark goes dim. Mentorship keeps showing up even when the spark goes dim. Have you ever had that where someone in your life, sometimes, it just happens sometimes, that you've poured so much into this person, you believed in them, you prayed for them, you've done everything, you elevated them, you gave them the mic, and all of a sudden, poof, cold season, they start ghost texting you. Has that ever happened? Come on. Happens all the time, right? My wife ghost texts me sometimes. I'm just kidding. She's right there. People you were counting on suddenly faded into the background. I don't know what happened with Saul at this point. Whatever it is, the protege faded. Sometimes life gets complicated. Sometimes people get discouraged. They get burned out for whatever reason. Maybe they're in the room waiting for something to happen, and they just kind of disappear. But whatever it was, Barnabas did not give up. Barnabas made the call. Barnabas said, I'm going to hunt you down, and I'm going to look for you, and I'm going to ask you back in because we need you. That's what mentors do. They do not give up. They hunt people down. They find that mentor, and they say, I believe in you, and I love you. That's what I want you to do for the next generation. That's what I want you to do for that next time someone asks you for coffee. That's what I want you to do when someone says, hey, do you got a few minutes? Can we talk about something? You don't give up on people. That's what mentors do. They keep showing up. Even when the person disappears, even when the results aren't visible, even when the spark goes dim, you show up. Some of you have Saul in your life right now. A son or daughter who's wandered. A young believer who stopped showing up. Maybe a friend who's drifted from their faith. Maybe a student who lost confidence. Maybe a coworker who's gone quiet. We all have a Saul in our life. Don't write them off. Keep showing up. Keep praying. Keep looking. Keep hunting. Because sometimes that next Paul is sitting in Tarsus waiting for you, the Barnabas, to knock on the door.
South Hills Church, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for watching our service online. Whether you're watching it for the first time or you're watching it again because you enjoyed the service so much from the weekend, I'd like to take a moment and dive into our giving. Every week we give people the opportunity to give back and give to the local church so that God can continue to bless your lives and bless your finances. Here at South Hills, we believe that everything comes from God. We believe that He's the one that chose us and brought us into this world, gave us our gifts and talents and abilities. And I just want you to know that when we give, we are giving back what God has already given to us. If you've ever seen any of our envelopes at a South Hills campus, you'll see on there that it says, every week at South Hills, your generosity is giving people the opportunity to live a better story. And there's a scripture on there in Matthew chapter 6, verse 21 that says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I want to encourage you today to click down below and set up your giving, whether it's for the first time or whether you're doing reoccurring giving. We have 4 ways to give here at South Hills. 1, you can do it in person at any of our campuses through an envelope. Or 2, you can actually text any amount that you would like to 84321. And the 3rd way is to download our Church Center app. I encourage you to do this one because the Church Center app gives you opportunity to stay connected with our church and your campuses. It's a great tool and resource for you to know what's going on. And the 4th way to give is to give online. You can go to southhills.org/give and you can set up your giving there. Whether you're a guest of our church or whether you are a member of our church, or whether you simply just like to watch our services, I encourage you to trust God with your finances so that He can bless and anoint your finances, and you can be trusting God in this journey of living life to the fullest. I love you, and thank you for watching our online service today.